Everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tamika. This is Library of Tomes, where I talk to you about all the bookish things going on in my life. Hi, welcome back. I hope y'all are doing great. I actually have a pretty decent second half of the month to wrap up for you. So we are going to be doing my October wrap up. Let's talk about all the books that I read in October. I'm going to quickly run through the books that I talked about in the last wrap up, which was my mid-month wrap up. And it is Halloween when I'm filming this. It's the last day of the month. So I said, let's break out the spooky earrings just one last time, just to make sure that, you know, I get my good use out of them when I continue to use them in January. Anyway, so let's talk about the books that I already talked about. So first of all, we talked about Blue Flag Volume 2 and 3. I love the series. I gave them both 4 stars. I also read Volume 1 of The Promised Neverland and I gave that a 5-star. I also talked about Hairpins and Curves, which I gave a 4-star. This was absolutely adorable and I really enjoyed it. And then I also talked about Hard Drive, which actually was pretty disappointing and I gave it 2.5 stars. So unfortunately, I didn't love that one, but if you want full thoughts on those, you can go to my mid-month wrap-up and check those out. So let's talk about the other books that I read in the second half of the month. And as per usual, we are going to go by category, and I will talk about the manga, the thrillers, and the romance all separately. Let's start off with thrillers, because I read 2 thrillers this month, which was shocking, because I don't typically read a ton of thrillers, just because I am so picky with them, and I just am never gravitating to them, but I was just really needing some thrillers this month. First of all, let's talk about You by Caroline Kepnes, which was a 3-star read for me. It was straight in the middle. It was a good, solid read. I enjoyed it. I had a fun time listening to it. I did listen to the audiobook. I found it really enjoyable. I decided to read this because my partner and I were going to watch the TV show, and we did start the show. We watched the first season and we lost interest in the rest of it. So I will say that I hated our heroine Beck in the book of this adaptation. So I hated her in the book. I loved her in the TV show. I just in general thought she was super irritating and annoying in the book, and I just wanted Joe to kill her the entire time. Essentially, we are following Beck and Joe, who they are a stalker-stalkee situation. Joe is the stalker. He is stalking Beck. He is absolutely obsessed with her, and she is like a writer. And yeah, you follow their relationship and how it evolves over time. It is interesting. I'll say, like, it is honestly super interesting. I really loved the way that this was written, where it was written in second person. I understand why this got so hyped up on BookTube a couple years ago. I definitely think I would have enjoyed this a lot more if I had read it then rather than waiting on it. It was just fine. It was just enjoyable, and I definitely recommend you read it if you're interested in it. But I mean, I wouldn't go in expecting this to be like a groundbreaking thriller, especially if you read a lot of them. Then I read Little Secrets. This book honestly was so good. I gave this a 4-star. This was really good, especially where I'm coming out of this reading slump, and I just was so pleased with it. So essentially, we are following our heroine, who is a mother who's just lost her child, and we're also following the father, and it's them dealing with grief, with losing their child and not getting the answers that they need, and being a year without their kid still being missing, and then the wife discovering secrets on her husband. And it is just honestly such an interesting thriller. So many twists and their turns in here, and I just really enjoyed this. And like, honestly, I understood where our heroine was coming from. At this point, if I had lost my child and I was desperate for answers, I probably would have done the same thing she was doing. Like, I would have made the same choices. And honestly, I think that I would be just unhinged enough to do the same thing she was doing and to make the decisions that she made. Because I mean, she's making choices that like any morally sound human would not do. So it worked. Like, she was off her rockers enough that I just felt like every choice she made worked somehow, and it made me want to keep going. I was rooting for her the whole time. Like, I was absolutely like, yes, I hope you achieve your mission. Like, I'm rooting for you, absolutely rooting for you. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was a very fun thriller, and I definitely recommend you check it out. I can't tell you anything else, or I'll spoil it, because you know that's what tends to happen with thrillers, but this one was really good. I just loved it. All right, let's talk about the 2 manga that I ended up finishing. So first of all, we have Can You Just Die My Darling, which Hello, hi. Been trying to get that off my freaking TBR for I don't know how long now. This is essentially about this kid who ends up getting a virus. He contracts a virus that makes you very violent. And for him, this violence gets placed on his crush. So the person he has a huge crush on, he ends up having like urges to kill. So he ends up getting very invested in the idea of killing her and, you know, just not, you know, hurting her, violent to her in any way he can be. It is like an impulse that he cannot stop doing. So it's like a very bad impulse, and we're spending the first volume of this manga kind of understanding that he now has this virus and he now has these urges, but not knowing how he's going to stop it and how he's going to come out on the other side of it. So this was a really solid beginning of a manga series. I give this a 3-star. It was really enjoyable and I'm definitely going to continue it. I think this could be a really cute dark romance, so we'll see what happens. I read volume 1 of How Do We Relationship. This is a sapphic manga, which y'all know I love sapphic. I absolutely freaking adore sapphic romances. So the fact that we got a sapphic book in the manga section over here, we are living the dream. We are living the dream. I am so excited to continue reading this series. It is so adorable so far. It's literally just following these two girls who are learning how to have a relationship because they've never had a same-sex relationship before, and I'm just so excited to be reading it. It is just so cute and I'm loving it so far. So I definitely recommend you check this out. If you haven't, it is just precious. All right, so then we have a couple books that I gotta talk about. So first of all, I want to talk about Scream for Us. This was by Molly Doyle and this was Ghostface fanfiction. Let's just be real. This was Ghostface fanfiction. We have our heroine who is at a Halloween party. She does not like Halloween. She would rather stayed in, and she starts getting assaulted at this party, and this guy steps in who is wearing a Ghostface mask and he protects her. And she is just like so insanely attracted to him, like to Ghostface. And like, don't get me wrong, I hear you, but it was a Ghostface kink, like a mask kink with Ghostface, Mikey Myers, and Jason Voorhees, which if you know anything about the horror franchise, we got those are 3 of our big 3. And it was a reverse harem that was not super reverse harem because we really only get a couple scenes of them all together. It was mainly focusing on Ghostface and our heroine, who we call him Ghost the entire time. We don't know his name. We really don't know who he is. It was erotic. It was a short. It was like a novella. I had a fun time. I had a fun time. I left this unrated because I'm not going to rate erotica or just plain smut for the sake of it, just because I know how I am. So I'm saving the author a lower review when it did what I wanted it to do. It just isn't going to get a 5-star from me. You know what I mean? So I had a fun time with it though. If you have a mask kink, if you are even remotely attracted to Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, or Ghostface, give her a shot. Because it was interesting, beyond interesting. And there's so much murder in here. Like just straight up murder. Like I will burn the world down for you kind of murder. And I wasn't mad about it. Did I think it was super realistic? No. But was I mad? No, I wasn't mad. What romances are realistic though? Let's be real. Pick it up. Give her a shot. So then I also read Cinders. This is a Cinderella retelling, which is sapphic. Are we getting a theme of what I'm in the mood for that I have not been able to really find? It's sapphic romances. So I read this. This is a Cinderella retelling. We follow a firefighter and I want to say she's like a mayor's daughter, but I don't 100% know for sure if she was a mayor's daughter or not. But she was like prestigious in this community, right? And this is a long unrequited love situation. One of our heroines, whose name is Sin, actually has had a crush on our other heroine, Marigold, forever, and she was told that she made Marigold uncomfortable, so she just kind of never spoke to her again. Marigold doesn't understand why. She kind of got the cold shoulder from her, and it's them working together to find this arsonist who is targeting Marigold's family, and we get to see their relationship develop. It is so cute. I adore it. I just love these two characters. They were definitely an insta love situation, but it was so freaking cute. This busted my slump, and I'm just so excited to go back and read the rest of the series. This is on Hoopla if you want to check it out. I freaking loved it. It was so cute. All right, and the last book I want to talk about is Her Soul for Revenge by Harley LaRoe, which I talked very in depth in my last vlog about this book, so I'm just going to kind of keep it kind of short, but I'm going to touch on the issues that I had. So here, first of all, let me go ahead and tell you, this is a 4-star book for me. For other people, this could be a 5-star book. And when I say that, I don't mean it because like everyone has different rating systems. I mean like, I specifically could not give this a 5-star because of the type of reader I am. So you all know there are very few things that I can rewatch and reread. And there are very few things that I can consistently rewatch and reread. And two of those things are Supernatural and the Saw movies. So those two things are two of the only movies and TV shows that I can consistently consume and watch and not be bored of the situation. But that's because those are comfort watches for me. And not every time I read something I want that kind of comfort situation. The only time I ever really want that is when I have like really bad anxiety and I'm just trying to like decompress, if that makes sense. So when I say that, I'm prefacing that by telling you that I really felt like the biggest struggle in this book and the biggest thing that really let me down with Her Soul for Revenge was the fact that we are following the same timeline that occurs in Her Soul to Take. So I was hoping for a continuation. At the end of that book, we get a cliffhanger essentially of something is happening that we have to stop because that's the big bad is happening, and it's not a continuation of that point. We don't get to that point until like 70% through the book. So that was the biggest problem that I had. I just felt like the pacing was off because we are not rehashing every detail, not getting a new scene from this other set of characters for the entirety of this new book, but we're following the timeline that I've already read from, so I already know everything that's happening. And I'm honestly a little bored because I'm just like, okay, I understand what you're doing. Like, I understand why you're doing this. I understand that their storylines are, this is the way they're working out. I'm not loving it. It's not working for me because I already know everything that's happening. I'm like, I want to know what's going on over here. Like, I want to know the continuation of this piece of the story. Like, I don't want to go backwards. And it just felt like I was like walking backwards and I was crawling to the answers I wanted, if that makes sense. So if you are a reader who doesn't mind that, who doesn't care to go back from the beginning and to just see the development of this relationship, and you don't need the answer to that question right away, you're gonna be fine. But if you're a reader who's like me, who is just super impatient about, you know, about a story and super impatient about learning about rereading something that you already know every point that's gonna happen, like you already know all the twists, you already know what's gonna happen to every character, you might get a little bored in this. You might be pretty bored. And that was a big issue that I had with Lap of Luxury when I read it, because I felt the first 30% was just a rehash of the first book, which I didn't enjoy. So I just don't like that in books. That is literally just a me thing. That is not like a diss on Harley LaRoe or this book. It's a me thing. And I can truly say though, this is one of the best books I've read this year. Like, the writing was fantastic. These characters were phenomenal. The smut was filthy and to die for. And it was just overall, it was a great book. But because of the type of reader I am, because of my attention span, because I am just the type of human that I am, because I know myself, I know how I am when it comes to consuming media, it just didn't hit what I needed it to do to get a 5-star. So I got a 4-star. I love Juniper. She's fucking fantastic. I love her. I just adore her. She is the most broken and abused character, and I love her so much, and I love getting to see that she takes this like wall that she builds around herself to keep others from seeing her being vulnerable and to see her as weak, and like showing it to one person and finding her person that she lets herself be vulnerable with. And that is definitely something that I personally connected with really, really hard, because I'm the same way. I do not like to be vulnerable. I don't do it. I don't share things that I don't feel comfortable sharing, and I have very few people in my life that I am comfortable being vulnerable with, and it just, I don't like it. So the fact that I had a character like Juniper who was just like that too, it worked so well. She is one of my favorite characters that I've read from this year. I adore her, and I cannot wait to see what happens in the next book. I have no idea what we're going to be doing in the next book because I felt like everything was wrapped up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm excited to wrap the series up and to know where we're going from here. So those are all of the books that I read in October. I finally am getting out of this reading slump and I'm feeling fantastic about it. So let me know down in the comments what books you read in October, what was your favorite, and leave me the emoji of your choice down in the comments. I was thinking a lamp, but I'm not really sure if there's a lamp emoji. So just leave me whatever emoji was your most recent, and I will chat with you in my next video. Bye everyone.
Don't you wanna have fun?